Hey everyone, what's up and welcome. Today we're going to be doing a tier list ranking the best to worst heroes you could get as randoms in Marvel Rivals. I feel like there are a lot of heroes who are ranked S tier that are consistently bad when it comes to randoms playing as them in your games, and they throw. It's terrible. There's certain characters I love playing with, there's certain characters I hate playing with. We're going to break it all down today. If you guys enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe. Plenty of Marvel Rivals content here on the channel and to come. Let's get into this. All right, so we got all the heroes here, including the Fantastic Four. Obviously, we don't have the Human Torch or the Thing in the game as of the start of season 1, so we're gonna exclude them today. But let's start things off with Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is a great support in my opinion. He isn't considered an S tier support character, but I feel like every single time I play with an Adam Warlock on my team, he knows what he's doing. He's an extremely strong support. He does great damage, and when he pops that revive, it honestly, like, I don't think there's a single random who doesn't appreciate it when the whole team comes back and is able to win the game as the point is about to get overtaken in the final seconds. So yeah, I think Adam Warlock as a random teammate, I love playing with Adam. I don't think he's an S tier random teammate, but I do think he's an A tier random. Moving on, we're gonna go Black Panther. Black Panther, okay, so this is what I mean. Black Panther is a top tier character. I'm not gonna lie. In the right hands, Black Panther is filthy, but how many of our randoms are actually filthy? I feel like every time I see a Panther on my team, it kind of gives me the same effect as Spider-Man gives me. I just kind of shake my head a little bit. If he pops off, great. If not, it's just going to be Pain Simulator. And so for that, I'm probably going to put him into, okay, I'm going to put him into B tier, and you'll understand a little bit why later. I don't generally like playing with Panthers. Generally, my randoms are not that great with him. Generally, they're not doing anything with him, and generally he's just annoying to be around. So yeah, Black Panther, I'm putting him in B tier as a random. Now don't get it twisted, this is not a tier list for the underdogs, okay? Black Widow, D tier. I'm not gonna lie, aiming is a very meticulous skill that requires a lot of time and effort, and with the amount of people that are playing Marvel Rivals right now, yes, there are some great players, but we've seen the rank distributions, okay? There are not a high percentage of people who are great aimers, and of those great aimers, not a lot of them are choosing Black Widow. And so in the grand scheme of people who are playing a hero shooter, I'm gonna assume you're probably whiffing at least 60 to 70% of your shots on Black Widow. Therefore, I have to put you in D tier because you're not gonna be contributing absolutely anything. Don't get me wrong, Black Widow in the right hands, she could do work, but at the same time, if you're doing work on Black Widow, you could be doing even more work on another character. And so, yeah, not a tier list for the underdogs. Black Widow, you're going in D tier. I don't want to see you on my team ever, not even in pubs. I have fun in pubs, okay? I'm not toxic, but like, I don't want to see you. Okay, next up we got Hulk. Hulk, S tier. Every time I see a Hulk, he's goated. I don't think anybody plays Hulk if they don't know how to play Hulk, and so he's auto going into S tier. I feel like Hulk is one of those people where there's a select set of goats who play him, and when they play him, they tear up matches. Like the Hulks can single-handedly win you games because they grief backline so hard. He's smacking Luna Snow in the face, he's hitting you with the thunderclap, and yeah, he's just a GOAT teammate. If I see a Hulk on my team, I'm jumping up and down. Captain America is someone who falls along the lines of Hulk as well. He's a really good character, and a lot of people sleep on him. I don't think he has the same brutal impact that a Hulk can have, but I do think that he can be good in the right hands, and oftentimes if you see a Cap on your team, he's fairly decent. I am probably going to put him into B tier though, because like I said, he's just lacking overall effectiveness as a character. I think Hulk just does what he tries to do so much better. And so yeah, same with Black Panther. If in the right hands, he's got great potential. Cloak and Dagger, I love having Cloak on my team. This is S tier. I don't think I've ever run into a Blad Cloak and Dagger. Every time they're playing on our team, they're popping great ultimates. They're keeping the team alive. They're throwing flashbangs. They're saving us from ults. They're putting out great healing numbers. And I would argue Cloak is probably one of the most consistent healers in the game from randoms experience. Like, of all the healers that I see coming from my randoms, Cloak probably puts out the best heals. I just want to note that as well, that within these tiers, these are not in order. So it's not saying like, oh, Hulk is above Cloak and Dagger within the S tier. I'm just saying they are an S tier when it comes to them being a random. Doctor Strange. Oh, Glizzy Strange, bro. Holy moly. if I see a Doctor Strange, I'm instantly turning on my mic and giving you praise. I'm not even joking. Anytime I see Strange in my random rank games, I'm like, thank you so much. You are the GOAT. Like, I let them know. You gotta give them the gas. You know what I'm saying? If they are a Lord Strange, I'm like, honestly, no, in that sense, I am putting him at the top of S tier. I know I said it's not in order, but like, he just deserves to be at the top of S tier. There's no other character I would rather see get picked from my randoms than Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange wins you games. And there are dedicated few, you know, Doctor Strange mains who just actually are goated with him. And when you are, he rips. Strange single-handedly dominates games, period. All right, next up, we're gonna talk about Groot. Groot is a great character, but Groot pisses me off as a random. I don't know what it is about Groot mains. You're going into C tier immediately. Groot players are like dedicated Groots. If you see someone and they're playing Groot, they often only play Groot. And this is good because, you know, Groot is a pretty powerful tank. He's good. But there are a lot of times when characters like Punisher are on the other team and they immediately counter Groot. Like Groot's walls are non-existent at that point once you got a Punisher on the other team. And they refuse to switch off. I don't know why. I don't know, like Groots are just like the most one tricky of all one tricks, but Groot mains are stubborn. And for that reason, I do not like having them on my team as randoms. You're going into C tier. Next up, we're going to Hawkeye. Hawkeye, we're going to put into A tier. I feel like if you can aim well, you're probably playing Hawkeye. And even if you can't aim well, you're playing Hawkeye, so it's not like you're going to be doing bad anyways. And so regardless, if you're playing Hawkeye, they'll be putting out decent, consistent damage, and that is why I'm going to put him A tier. If you obviously, if Hawkeye knows what he's doing, he's S tier. But this is randoms, okay? Randoms can't really fail on Hawkeye. A tier. If you know you are getting the creme de la creme, he's going to be doing great damage. It's just a great pick to have overall. Hawkeyes just don't really let you down, if you kind of catch my drift. If you're picking up what I'm dropping. Hela is a different story. Hawkeye, once again, Hawkeye is that extra bit of like intimidation when it comes to skill required to use that it often fearfully pushes away the noobs, I guess you could say. But Hela, everybody and their mother knows that Hela is really good. And so there's countless amount of people who just straight up cannot aim that pick Hela because they're like, oh, well, Hela's just really good, so I'm gonna choose her, and they do nothing with her. Hela, I'm going to put into B tier. Once again, in the right hands, she's goated, but too many people who don't know how to aim just insta-lock her because she's quote-unquote meta. Like I said, Hawkeye is enough of a barrier to scare them away, but Hela is a magnet for them. So as a random, I'm gonna go on B tier. Iron Fist. Okay, once again, Iron Fist, I understand a lot of people say in higher elos, he's not good. Necro's just put out a tier list and put him into D tier. I'm telling you, in the solo queue, I'm going to put him, I arguably want to put him into S tier, but I feel like that's just a bit too much. I'm gonna be right. I'm gonna put him into A tier. People don't coordinate in solo queue. People just don't communicate properly, and that is the number one thing you need to do in order to properly take down an Iron Fist. You need to communicate that your DPS need to peel and help you in the backline if he's griefing you, if your cloak is getting punched in the face at a million miles per hour, you gotta call for it. But nobody ever does. And so therefore, as a random on my team, I love having Iron Fist because he's just knocking fools out. I'm going to be straight up. I don't think I've ever had a bad Iron Fist on my team. I've had mid Iron Fist, but I've never had like someone who just straight up tanked the bed. Like they just wet the bed. Iron Fist is just another one of those characters where oftentimes in solo queue, you kind of struggle to fail. You know what I'm saying? Iron Man. Okay. Deliverance of the Iron Bus. I love Iron Man. He's great. Iron Man with the Hulk team up is amazing. I think his character's awesome. I think every time he plays on my team, generally he does awesome. I'm gonna put him right up in there in A tier again. Once again, just another sturdy random. Don't really have a lot of opinions on him now that I'm thinking about it. Kind of just indifferent. I just know he's solid overall, and so I'm just gonna insta put him into A tier. Next up, we're gonna talk about Jeff. I don't know, maybe it's just my games, like in particular, but they said that Jeff was one of the highest picked characters out of any character in season 0. I'm pretty sure I saw like someone saying he was the most picked character in season 0. But I actually just rarely ever see anyone pick Jeff. I never see anyone healing as Jeff on my team. Even when I'm playing pubs, I honestly don't really see Jeff. And so I feel like for the few Jeff mains that are actually out there and rocking Jeff sturdily, he does good. Like, his ultimate is strong. There's a reason so many clips got farmed on the launch of season 0, and that is because Jeff is strong when it comes to his ultimate. They also just buffed his healing in season 1, and so I can't really complain. I'm going to put Jeff into A tier once again. The A tier starting to look a little big, I'm not gonna lie, but Jeff is great on randoms. Like, if I do get a Jeff, he oftentimes knows what he's doing with his ultimate, and the amount of times he just solo wins games, because in overtime he'll just take everyone off the point in an instant. It wins us. So yeah, I'll say Jeff is A tier. Random Jeffs honestly rarely let me down. Now we're gonna move on to Loki. Loki, I'm gonna put in D tier. I'm not joking. I know Loki has a lot of potential. Loki is a very skilled, deep support character, but I don't think I've ever actually met someone who knows how to properly play Loki in solo queue. Like, when I get randoms on my team, Lokis are oftentimes rarely putting down clones in proper positioning or in places where they could actually benefit your team. A lot of times too, I also just noticed my other randoms don't really know that you have to stand on Loki clones in order to get his big heal, which is basically just baby Luna snow ults. And so for those reasons of how my other randoms, you know, kind of work with my random Loki, it makes me just hate having Lokis on my team. Sure, he might put out decent damage, but oftentimes his healing is extremely lackluster. So random Loki, you're getting the L, you're in D tier. Luna Snow. Luna? Okay, this is gonna be a funny one. Luna is an S tier healer, but I'm going to put her into B tier because I feel like Luna actually takes some skill to use when it comes to aiming. You have to be able to aim when you play Luna if you want to heal effectively. And I've actually run into some Lunas who just straight up can't aim, and therefore they straight up can't heal. It's bad. I don't know, I feel like there's some other healers who are actually just a lot easier to heal with when it comes to aiming. Like, she's hit scan, you gotta actually hit your target. Other characters, you can kind of just whip those around. Like Rocket Raccoon, you pump those orbs out. And although Luna might be able to heal much more effectively, at least you're healing on Rocket Raccoon. So yeah, I'm gonna put her in B tier. B tier is looking like in the right hands. This is what I'm gonna call this category. The right hands, the right people, the right usage. You know what I'm saying? You get real value out of them. But in the wrong hands, they are brutal. Moving on, we're gonna go to Magic. Magic is weird for me. And honestly, I'm gonna explain this, and it's probably gonna align with like 99% of your experiences here. Magic is I'm putting her in C tier. Magic is one of those characters where every single time I have one on my team, they're not doing anything. They're just not doing anything of serious value. But every time I go against a Magic, they are whipping our team's ass into oblivion. I'm not joking. Like, I don't know, maybe it's the matchmaking. I'm not really sure how this ends up, but when I get a Magic as my random teammate, I'm never smiling. Okay, I might be frowning just a little bit, or I'm looking quite stern. So I'm putting Magic into C tier. I don't know how to explain this one. It's more just a feeling, but I know you understand. I feel that connection between us right now, okay? We're leaving her there. That's that. Magneto to the moon, okay? Magneto's S tier. Not many people pick Magneto. Magneto is kind of like the other shield tank that people know is good, but no one ever actually chooses them. And if they're actually forced to choose a tank as a random, they're picking Strange, which is just great value. So I'm not complaining regardless. But for the people who do pick Magneto, it's because they know how to play Magneto. And for those Magneto random mains out there who choose Magneto, we appreciate you because you are the GOAT. I'm straight up. I would argue Magnetos are on a consistent basis more deadly and just better tanks than Stranges. I don't think I ever actually run into a bad Magneto random. Keep doing your thing, bro. And all of you guys play Magneto. Keep doing your thing, okay? Keep holding it down. We appreciate you. All right, next up as randoms, we got Mantis. Mantis, I actually really like having. I feel like oftentimes people who play Mantis know how to dish out some damage. I feel like people who are just playing support just because like, oh, I need to play support, often default to characters like Cloak and Luna. Cloaks are just generally, like I said, really good. Luna, you actually got to know how to use her. But Mantis is another one of those characters I feel like you just struggle to do bad on. Her healing is quite good. She does a lot of damage, so even if they're not healing, they're at least going to be killing people. And I just like having mantises on my team. I don't think I've ever actually had a really bad mantis experience. Shout out to the mantis mains. You guys are kind of like the swaggiest of all healers. Debatable in season 1. But you're generally one of the more swaggy healers. I'm not gonna lie. You got oral when you play mantis. Next up, we got Moon Knight. Moon Knight, easy. D tier. I hate Moon Knight, okay? I don't know how this like sense of hatred developed inside of me. I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know how, but I do not like Moon Knight on my team, and I don't like going against them. His ult is obnoxious. It's really good. He farms ults way too easily. But for some reason, every time I get a Moon Knight on my team, he's a Moon Knight one trick. He probably only has 5 minutes of playtime on all other characters combined in the game, but he's terrible on Moon Knight. I don't know. Consistently, I get terrible Moon Knight randoms who are just ineffective and don't really do much. And because Moon Knight, to some, is such a cool character, they probably just aren't going to switch off of him because they play him just for his coolness, his cool factor. And so yeah, I don't like having Moon Knights on my team. And going against him is just one of the most brain dead experiences ever. He's so skillless. You throw down an unk, you're flying above him as Spider-Man, you see him whipping random shit at the floor. He's smooth brain, bro. He's a smooth brain character. Moving on, we got Namor. Namor, S tier. Easy. I don't have to think about it. Only people who know the true potential and true power of Namor play Namor. Okay. Oftentimes, Spider-Man mains are playing Namor, and if you play Spider-Man, you're just a goat. And so, yeah, S tier for Namor. He shuts down everything. He's extremely potent. All melee characters are basically taken out of the game when you have a Namor on your team. And oftentimes, he's a generally easy character play. You know, it doesn't take a whole lot of like, you know, skill to use him, and so you're gonna get a lot of value no matter who's picking him. Even if the random is terrible, he just needs to throw it on the turrets and they'll be shooting for him. So yeah, Namor is definitely S tier. Penny Parker. Penny, I'm gonna put in a C. I want to put Penny in D, but I'm gonna put her in a C simply because there are an odd few out there who actually know how to use her semi-decently. But I want to put her into D because 99% of Penny mains out there are just terrible with Penny. They have terrible trap placement. They're putting it into the open. It's getting shot out within 0.2 seconds. And they also just don't make any use of her movement tech. I don't think I could tell you on a single hand the amount of times I've seen Pennies actually make beneficial use of her movement ever. Pennies are just glorified walking pea shooters. They walk around, they're slow, they shoot their turret all day, they do barely any damage, and then they die when they get one clip by a Punisher. It's just kind of hilarious. They're not very good, at least from a randoms experience. Once again, Penny, not saying she's not effective, but my randoms just aren't effective with her. Psylocke, we're gonna put into A tier. I really like Psylocke. I know Psylocke is considered an S tier meta pick. I'm gonna put her in A tier because she does take some skill to use, and I have come across some bad Psylocks, but overall on a consistent basis, I have had more pop-offs from my random Psylocks, probably more than any other DPS class. And for those moments that where they do pop off, like they really carry games. Like I've had some goated Psylocke randoms. And for you, I appreciate. I just don't think everybody knows how to use her. She's not as easy to use from a solo queue random experience, and so that's why she's not an S tier like Namor. Okay, Punisher is an iffy pick for me. Punisher is one of those characters where he's so straightforward. You know, he's got good mobility, zipline, shotgun, assault rifle. He rips. All you have to do is hold left click and click left click. You'd think you could not fail on him, but the amount of randoms I see who have aim that looks like they've been playing, I don't know, puzzle games their whole life is absurd. I feel like a lot of Call of Duty heads play this character who like come from COD and they're like, he looks simple, I know how to shoot, but you don't have aim assist in this game, so no you don't, okay? Yeah, C tier for Punisher, okay? Punisher, the only thing he's punishing is my team. And oftentimes when he has a Rocket Raccoon on his team, he's not calming for the infinite ammos either. And so not only is he griefing the existence of one character, but he's griefing the potential of two. In the right hands, Punisher is the GOAT, but most people are not the GOAT, and so that is why he is in C tier. Now this pick might be a bit biased, okay? I'm gonna be real, it might be a bit biased. I love having Rocket Raccoons on my team. Not an S tier healer by any means, but when it comes to playing solo and dealing with randoms, his respawn beacon is invaluable. The amount of times he brings back people who throw their life away off of initial engagement. Like you got a Hulk who's solo diving onto a team alone, by the way, on point, insta dies, and then insta comes back because we have a rocket. He keeps the team together the best it possibly can. In addition to this, I also play a lot of Punisher. And so I'm constantly calming to my Rocket Raccoon to drop infinite ammos. And when you go infinite ammo mode on Punisher, the auto shotgun rips tanks apart. The left click, it feels like an ultimate on your AR. He's just amazing. So I love having Rocket on my team. I don't think I've ever had a bad experience with a Rocket Raccoon. I'm gonna be real. Scarlet's a really funny one. I'm actually gonna put her higher than you might think. She's going into B tier. Because Scarlet is so quote unquote bad according to like the meta tier list, I feel like everyone just shies away from me. I honestly rarely see Scarlets. So when I do see a Scarlet, she's oftentimes pretty decent. And her ultimate, as much as people hate on it, if used properly, like you just have to utilize cover and peek out at the right moments. You combine it with some other ultimates that can make it really shine. And it's a very strong ult. It instantly deletes people. And so for the Scarlets that I do run into, and someone who is a Spider-Man player, you know, and I see a lot of Scarlets on enemy teams because people constantly swap to her to counter Spider-Man. Generally, random Scarlets seem pretty decent. They actually know what they're doing, and I'm gonna give her some kudos, so I'll put her in B tier. Next up, Spider-Man. Okay, Spider-Man, for you guys who've been watching this channel, you know I've been studying so much Spider-Man tech. I put out countless guides for Spider-Man. I put in countless amount of hours into the range of Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man, but Spider-Man, there is no denying, he is extremely difficult to use. He is extremely punishing, and not only that, but S tier random here, Mr. Namor, who everybody insta swaps to the moment they see a Spider-Man, shuts Spider-Man down so hard. So much so that it almost makes Spider-Man unplayable when you have a Namor on the team. I don't know, knowing how much time needs to go into Spider-Man in order to be good at the game, and looking at the general Marvel Rivals community and how much they cope from game to game and blame everybody for their own mistakes, chances are you're probably not putting in the time necessary to be good at Spider-Man. And for those reasons, most Spider-Men are Spider-Boys, okay? They're not very good, and if you're choosing Spider-Man, it means you're taking Spider-Man from me. And so immediately I want to put him somewhere down here. But there are a few Spidey goats out there who do know what they're doing. And when you know what you're doing on Spider-Man, you can have some pop-off moments and cook. And I just kind of got to respect it. I don't think that Black Panther is more consistent than Spider-Man randoms, so I am gonna have to put Spider-Man in C tier. It's unfortunate. I hate to massacre my boy like this, but let's just be real out here. The random Spideys don't please anyone. Honestly, the only reason he's in C tier is because it's my tier list. I would argue most of you would put him in D tier. Squirrel Girl's a bit of an unsung hero here. Squirrel Girl's actually really solid. I'm gonna instantly put her into A tier. People don't generally play Squirrel Girl, but the people who do play Squirrel Girl generally know how to play her, and she's a very strong character. She counters a lot of metas that honestly aren't countered on a consistent basis because just nobody plays Squirrel Girl, and so she does a great job. She has great AoE, great explosive damage. She's a very deadly character who got some buffs in season 1, and she is genuinely slept on. So if I do see a random Squirrel Girl, I'm never disappointed. Shout out to the Squirrel Girl mains. StarLord. Okay, StarLord, honestly, not a ton of StarLords out there. I see him like every now and then, but I honestly am surprised I don't see more StarLords. Immediately in my mind, he's popping out as a bit of an outlier. Along with these other B tier characters, a lot of characters who are pretty solid at the game, but you gotta have some skill to back them up. I genuinely feel like with the small StarLord population that I see, he would fall somewhere in line here. But my StarLords, they're just never getting it done. I'll be real. I would argue they're in the same level of consistency as my random Spider-Mans. And so for that reason, I'm gonna put him into C tier. It's just straight, I don't know, like I said, he's fairly simple to use, but for some reason, maybe it's because of how close you got to get to your targets, kind of like Spider-Man. A lot of people miss position with him, and when they do so, it results in a lot of deaths, a lot of frequent deaths. Now, he does have some nice team-up abilities with Adam, so, you know, he can come back and kind of make up for it, but we don't see a ton of Adam. So, yeah, for those reasons, I'm going to put him into C tier. StarLord remains. There's only one thing I got to say to you. Be better. Storm mains, this one's easy in my opinion, easy S tier. Storm mains are shining now in season 1 because she is meta. She's goated to have on your team as a random, and she's also S tier and meta. There are a lot of people who are picking up Storm, and I'm gonna be honest, Storm is a tad difficult when it comes to positioning, but it's so much so that I feel like it makes the terrible randoms fear playing her that little bit that they just don't touch her, and they leave Storm for the Storm players, or at least people who would be competent enough to play Storm. And so every time I see a Storm random, she's buffing the entire team. She does incredible damage. And if you were a Storm main, you're absolutely knocking people's socks off right now. And if you weren't a Storm main, generally you're doing a decent enough job that, you know, you're just kind of being a really good DPS. I don't think I've seen a truly bad Storm yet on my team. Thor, I'm immediately throwing into A tier. Every time I go against Thor, he is one of the, like, maybe it's just a skill issue, okay? But he's honestly one of the most annoying characters to go against. He's kind of like Hulk, obviously not as effective as Hulk, but my Thor randoms are always generally pretty solid, whether they're on my team. Well, honestly, I would argue they're more solid on the enemy team just because I'm feeling the Thor effect. He's just absolutely smacking the hell out of us with his hammer. But my random Thors genuinely are always pretty solid. I have to give him credit. He's a decent character considering how bad his ult is. People actually make him work really well. Next up, we got Venom. I'm gonna put him into, I want to put him between A and B. I want to put him into A tier because I play as Spider-Man, and if you have another Venom who knows what he's doing, he's like, he transforms you, bro. He transforms you, and a good Venom is just so appreciated. And I have seen them, but I don't think I could say I see it consistent enough to the point. I'm gonna have to put him into B tier because oftentimes when people choose Venom, they know they're working with a Spider-Man, so they're going to dive their healers with you, and genuinely they're pretty solid. But there are like that 25% to 30% of you who play frontline and just and poke at the strange all game long when that is not your job. It's not your job. You're gonna get ripped on the front line. I don't know, there's some terrible Venoms out there, and it makes me mad. But like I said, it's 25 to 30% of you. The rest of you, you're all generally goats. I do appreciate you, but those few minorities really pull me back on the tier list here, and I gotta stick them in a B tier. All right, Bucky should be S tier. But there is one reason he is not S tier. He's going into A tier. First off, the Lord icon on Bucky is the most intimidating icon in the entire game. A good Bucky is the most shit disturby thing to deal with. And for some reason, I actually don't see nearly as many Buckies as I should, considering how good of a character he is. And so for those reasons, oftentimes every time I have a Bucky on my team, he is extremely solid. The one reason Bucky is not in S tier on this tier list is because every time we go against a Groot, Bucky mains are just missing one brain cell enough to understand that Bucky is not good at taking down Groot walls. And that if you're a Bucky main, you should just switch to Punisher so you can mow down the Groot walls and be, you know, the effective DPS we're looking for. But they just refuse. And they save up their ult and they wipe the team by the end of the engagement with his ultimate. But oftentimes it kind of leaves the games a little bit more up to chance. And I don't like taking chances when my elo's on the line. So yeah, A tier for Bucky. Honestly, not a lot of hate, but for those few of you who won't switch. All right, we're nearing the end of this tier list. Wolverine. Wolverine is a character who is extremely annoying. I went against one yesterday, actually, and for some reason, he had an ego so big, it actually started to step on mine. I'm just gonna say it. Before we place Wolverine in this tier list, Wolverine mains, you're all assholes, all right? There's just something about you. You're a little edgy, a little too sharp, all right? You gotta soften up a little bit. You're just edgy, but you're good. So I can't really hate, okay? You piss me off, but you get the job done. I hate making this tier list look so stacked when it comes to the upper tiers, but like I said, these are all just characters I actually just really like having on my team. There's just a specific meta where Hulk, Thor, Doctor Strange, these big tanks are getting in your face and they will not leave you alone all game. And they're some of the most consistently annoying matches that stand out to me when it comes to like matches I played recently that are just absolute throes of games. Like we just stood no chance because nobody was going to do anything about it. But Wolverine's always stepped up to the plate and saved the day. They are the tank dealers. And when I really think about it, it makes no sense to me that I'm putting him above Bucky, who's already in A tier, But I don't think, I mean it when I say this, I don't think I've ever had a bad Wolverine. And the impact he does bring to the team when chosen at the right times is huge. And for those reasons, I actually have to put him into S tier. I appreciate random Wolverines so much. And honestly, he does have a pretty simple kit to use. It is literally a dash, a fly away with your target, and then just scratch them into oblivion. It's simple. And so yeah, I'm gonna put Wolverine in S tier. We're now on to our final two heroes. The two heroes who just came, you know, 5 days ago at the start of season 1. Is the 15th today, and they came out on the 10th. Mr. Fantastic, I feel like I don't truly understand the potential of him just yet, and my random experiences fall in line with that. I feel like he is a character who will definitely rise in the random charts as time goes on, as people start to learn him. But oftentimes right now, when I do get Mr. Fantastics on my team, they aren't generally staying alive with him enough. And it makes sense because he's a DPS character. He's a duelist. He's squishy. He has tank-like capabilities to really allow him to survive. I just don't see them being used to their truest potential yet. I would argue my experience with him as a random has fallen more on the negative side than the good side so far. Groot is just someone who kind of, you know, he kind of matches Mr. Fantastic in energy, and so I am going to put him into the C tier. There has been one Mr. Fantastic I played with who actually was just really good. I saw him making usage of the absorption with the inflated state, and he was launching it back at a Punisher turret, which actually took it out quite nicely. A good Mr. Fantastic in theory should actually never die, and so like I said, as a random, not appreciating him right now. Gone against some decent ones, but he needs work. He needs time though. And last but not least, we're gonna finish with Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman, easy A tier. I actually don't even have to think about it. I would put her, I'm on the line of putting her into S tier because people are learning. My randoms, like even working with Invisible Woman, are actually learning quite quickly to play around her shields. But for the few who still don't and run away from my force fields that I put on you, that are actively healing you, and you run away and then get killed, it makes me want to explode. Invisible Woman, S tier healer, she's S tier healer. She's the most fun healer, and she's very good from my randoms. Like, randoms play her extremely well, but there are just other randoms who grief our random Invisible Woman because they just run away from the force fields. Until they work on that, you know, she kind of sits in 8. But overall, that is my best randoms to worst randoms tier list in Marvel Rivals. Looking at it overall now as a whole picture, S tier, I'm honestly pretty happy with. Strange, Hulk, Cloak, Magneto. These are all really strong random picks. Namor, Mantis, like all of them, I'm pretty happy with that. A tier is just sturdy across the board. I think Adam Warlock, Jeff might be some of the, and so no, there's some you know, sleepers who I did put in here. I like where this looks. B tier actually looks really consistent as well. It's a very sturdy skill gap, you know, kind of tier. You know, if you're not using them properly, you're tanking the bed. If you are, you're getting high value. C tier is truly class of the misunderstood, and D tier, just leave me alone. I don't even want to. I honestly, we're gonna scroll up. Can I scroll up? We're gonna hide that. We're gonna hide that tier right now. I don't even want to look at them. That is my tier list. Okay, I'll show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this tier list. Best to worst heroes for randoms. And if you guys did enjoy this tier list, let me know in the comments which tier list you would like to see me make next. I haven't made a meta tier list yet. I'm not gonna lie, this was a lot of work and energy. I would be up to be making a meta tier list. Before we head out of here today, like I said, I do make a ton of Marvel Rivals content here on the channel, and we'll be posting more in the future to come. So if you guys don't want to miss that, make sure you guys subscribe. It's the best way to get notified when new videos go out. And I do live stream every day on Twitch. We are grinding. I'm plat 1. We're just about in diamond now. 5 days into this rank grind. I'm pretty happy with where we're at. We're going to continue to grind. Try to get to Eternal before the end of the season. Well, really as high as we can go. But Eternal is, you know, where I would be satisfied with. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy yourself. Keep up. Stay up. Peace out.